Good morning. This is Tracy Stanton, the flow of love, igniting love in the lives of my clients. So, this morning we're going to talk about ways to bring more love into your life. Who wouldn't want more love in their lives? And I'm going to start with a confession and a little bit of vulnerability around this. And so, for most of my life, I would say that I've been on a search for more love. I have this very deep longing to be loved. I really want to be loved. And for the longest time, I really felt like this was more outside of me rather than inside of me. So I was probably looking for love in all the wrong places, and I would give myself away in attempt to receive the love that I was longing to feel inside. And so I would say, so maybe for example, sometimes you say yes when deep down you mean no. Have you ever been in that situation where you find yourself being really nice, or you find yourself doing things to gain love and adoration from another person, and sometimes to the expense of yourself? And so when I talk about the giving myself away, I would say I gave myself away body, mind, and spirit. Anything not to feel rejected and because of this deep desire to be loved. I really, for many years, didn't learn that the love that I was seeking was actually inside of me, and that the way that I was going to experience more love in my life was not going to come from the outside. It was not going to come from somebody else approving of me, and perhaps, yes, being loved by another person is really, really beautiful, but there was this aspect of cultivating love inside of myself that was really, really key. And so it wasn't until I found meditation, my meditation school, and my teacher, my spiritual teacher, that I started to, I would say, embody love, or start to have a different experience of what love was really all about. And I think if you remember in the first talk, I was talking about agape, divine love, and how key that is for us to experience oneness and a sense of being one with everything. And that was the kind of love that I was deeply seeking. I no longer wanted to feel separate. And so when the meditation practice began, things began to change. Over time, there was a ceasing of, or I should say, lessening of looking for love externally, and being able to self-reference and feel more full of love inside. And really, my quest in this life is to feel filled with the light of the divine, the love of the divine, and be able to pass that, share that to other people without compromise, without giving myself away. And what I mean by compromise, I mean at the expense of what's good for me. And we talked a little bit about boundaries yesterday, and I think this is really key. And so let's talk about some ways that I've used, and I think these are universal for bringing more love into your life. And I think I mentioned one of them just a minute ago, and that was meditation. So who out there has sat and tried meditation? So with meditation in the beginning, when you start and you're like, oh my God, my mind is so busy, I can't shut it up. Like, how is this meant to work? Like, how is meditation meant to work? And I did not give up on meditation. In fact, I've been sitting consistently for about 15 years, and it did take time to cultivate stillness and silence, and for something to actually happen in meditation. And so, but the wonderful, beautiful, beautiful thing about meditation is it does start to build, number one, build a relationship with yourself, but it is about cultivating the breath. It's also about cultivating stillness, and through that, more of yourself is revealed, and there's a sense of being on a journey where you can love yourself more. And I would actually say that my experience in solo meditation, I was in Australia in the outback sitting alone for 12 and a half hours a day. And you think, oh my goodness, that's torture. I mean, I've heard so many people say to me, meditation, it's like, how do you be with your mind for all that time? But I remember on the third day, this sense of beingness that happened just for about 35 minutes of the meditation. But at that point, I believe that I experienced the sense of being and oneness and love more than I have ever experienced before. And so meditation is a beautiful way of falling in love with yourself. So meditation, if you're not doing it, contact me and I'll talk to you about how you can be meditating if you're not already doing that. I'd love to help. And so a really big piece of self-love is sleep, is getting 8 hours of sleep, sleeping deeply and well. And so in Chinese medicine, the kidney energy, sort of not even the physical kidneys, but they call it the kidney in Chinese medicine, is the organ that regulates our yin and our yang. And when we're exhausted and depleted, our kidney energy is very, very low. And the kidney is all about Jing, quintessence. And quintessence is this beautiful, lively, bubbly, lovely energy that we want to cultivate. And so actually getting 8 hours of sleep is a fundamental part of the self-love and self-care. And so, you know, have you been in that situation where you're working really, really hard and somebody else asks you, can you do this for me? It's Friday afternoon, 5 p.m. And you say yes. When really, again, and I brought this up in Boundaries yesterday, when really to do the real love and self-love, you really need to be saying no and taking time to rest. And the people who really tend to be successful tend to be really well rested. I want to share with you Brené Brown, when she was researching her book, I think it was I'll have to come back to you with the title, The Gifts of Imperfection, that was it. She said that when she was researching, she found that only 15 to 20% of people were all in on their relationship. And these 15 to 20% said that they felt worthy of love and belonging. And so I don't know about you, but feeling worthy of love is not just something that you can kind of turn on in 5 minutes. It's really about, I mean, there are some people that already feel worthy of love and belonging. But, if you don't, and we don't always feel that, you can't fake it till you make it. You've got to cultivate it, and that's what we're talking about. And sleep was actually one of the key factors that these people said was important in their sense of feeling love, self-care, self-love. And so another great one is joy, and cultivating joy through things like creativity and writing and play. And how about dancing as if no one is watching? These are some of the things that can really bring more love into our lives. I think I'd shared a story with you on Monday in my first talk about the types of love. And I shared a story about when I was living in Los Angeles and how I was feeling kind of sad and depressed, and I thought, right, I'm going to go and dance. And in the process of dancing, and I was certainly not worried about what other people were thinking when I was dancing, there was this sense of connection that came back to me. I started to feel the flow, hence the flow of love, right? And it was in that flow I started to feel love and joy, and it brought me back to presence and a sense of being. And I know with some of my clients that I've worked with, getting started on their art projects, their painting. I know one of my clients in particular, I'm sure she's watching today, she knows that literally this re-emerging of her creative self through painting has been so beautiful, just to watch the love of her spirit, like the love she's giving to herself through the process of creation and painting. So you know, remember, and I also just want to bring up a really important point that sometimes we have this perception like, I'm not creative. Have you ever been like in that situation when you think, I'm not a creative person, I can't create, I'm not a writer, I'm not a painter? And the reality is, you don't have to be a writer or a painter. You just need to be prepared to play. And that really leads into my next point. That's one of my next pieces around how to bring more love into your life. Play, play, play. And so do you know, you must have experienced one of those days where you don't really have a plan and you don't really know where you're going and you're not really sure what the day's all about. Unstructured time, like time where you don't necessarily have a purpose. There's not this sense of needing um, to have a purpose for the day. I I had a whole holiday in Hawaii like this where I went not I had one thing to do. That was it. And after the one thing was done, which actually happened on day one, I had purposeless time. I just got in the car and drove, and I had no idea where I was going. And one day I saw this great group of group of people standing there, and I was like, what's going on? And I just pulled the car over and randomly walked with all these people were walking in a very particular direction. I had no idea why they were going there, what it was all about. And about three-quarters of the way down, I asked someone, so where is everybody going? Honestly, you can believe it. I was just walking in the bright, bright sun. And they said, oh, it's the biggest break of the season. And so I got to this point where there was loads and loads, I mean, it's like hundreds, it's probably about 100 plus people looking at these enormous waves with the surfers, and it was amazing. And I just felt this sort of sense of the group, and again, that like, oh my God, I'm part of something, I'm part of this incredible moment. And so purposelessness, how about a little bit of that? And so my last point for today, a really key one that, and actually a researcher whose name Arthur Aaron said, kindness is the strongest indicator of a successful long-term relationship. Kindness. And so my final point today is about cultivating kindness and understanding. Two incredibly important pieces. And that starts with you. How can you be kind to yourself? And then perhaps random acts of kindness. I remember being in a supermarket checkout in Singapore, and the woman before me had forgotten her wallet, and she had a few groceries, $20 or something, I don't know. I just said, no, it's fine, please take them, I'm just paid. And it was like, okay, great. Doing something nice for someone. We're also, how we can be quite wrapped up in our own worlds and wrapped up in the materialism of life. And sometimes you just got to do those random acts of kindness. Like, what can you do to bring that firstly to yourself and then to other people? And so understanding and kindness, those are really key pieces that cultivate love inside ourselves. So this is Tracy Stanton, The Flow of Love. This is day 4 of my love series. And my dear coach, Michael Turtes, who said to me, get up there and speak, Tracy Stanton. Go and start speaking about the thing that you are most passionate about, and that is love. And I'm going to be doing more of it, so stay tuned. I will be moving to the YouTube format, and I will keep you posted, and there'll be regular updates. And please join my Flow of Love page if you want to know more. I'm going to be teaching a half-day workshop in Berkeley, October 9th. That's open for all. We have a maximum of about 24 places, so there will be a link in the next few days for you to sign up if you would like to come. And website coming soon, The Flow of Love, probably by the end of the month. I have my wonderful web designer Simon Wong in Singapore working hard on that right now. So I'll sign off for today. Tracy Stanton, The Flow of Love. Thank you so much for joining me this week.